Hello, it's Sandy with Crafty Stamp Co. and I have got a project that I made from the current kit, the March 2026 Crafty Crew Kit. It is available for pre-order until February 22nd. Go ahead and jump on that Crafty Stamp Co. website and get this kit ordered. It is adorable. It's all animal themed. It's just the cutest thing. Today I have a card that I created using Fur Mama Meadow. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's start off by coloring our little Fur Mama Meadow. I have got her die cut out and I'm going to start on her hair. Now generally I like to break her hair up into different parts. So I usually start on the bangs and then I move on to the other pieces of hair. So when I do my Copic coloring, I like to saturate, not completely saturate, but I do like to wet my paper with my lightest color first. It helps me with blending. I always marvel at people that can start with the darkest color on the outside and then they move to the middle and then to the center part. I'm just not there yet. Anyway, we are going to start with YR31 as the lightest color for her hair. And then I'm going to move into E31. And I basically am just flicking up that color, up and down that color, leaving a little bit of that lighter color showing for highlight. And then to add just a little bit more contrast, I'm going to move into E35. And that color, I'm just concentrating, the hair around her face and the hair that kind of goes behind her body, up at the top of her head, the hair that's on the little buns, where they would be in the back of the hair, if that makes any sense. That's where I would darken it up with my E35. Okay, moving on to her sweet little face. I am going to start with E quad and then E000. I'll do the shading around the top of her head, a little bit around her eyes and down the sides of her face with a little bit of E11. And then the E51, I'm just going to do a teeny tiny bit up at that top hairline, a little bit under her neck, kind of down around where the sleeve ends at her hand and where her little capris end on her legs. Now for her little leggings, we're actually going to turn them into jeggings. We are going to use, let me look at my notes here real quick. I'm going to start with B41. My mid color will be B91 and my darkest color will be B93. I am also going to do her little vest, those same three colors. Okay, for her t-shirt and the little bows in her hair, I've kind of got a rosy color pink going here. So I am using R81. R83 is my mid color and R85 is my darkest color. For her kitty, we're not going to do any crazy type coloring. I'm not even going to add any spots or anything else. This is going to be a very light, maybe white colored cat. I'm going to start with W00. W0 is my mid color and W1 is my darkest color. And again, I'm just saturating that card with my lightest and then shading into it with my darker colors. For my little puppy, I'm keeping him very light colored also. So I am going to be using, let's see, YR30. YR31 is my mid color, and Y21 is my darkest color that I'll do the bulk of my deepest shading with. So to finish up my little friends, I want to color in their little noses and their little ears and the little paw pads. So for the ears, the little pads, and the little kitty nose, I am using R11 and R20. And then for my little puppy nose, which I wanted really dark, I used W3, W6, and then just a dot of W8. For their little biscuit bags, I just used the same colors that I used on Meadow's outfit. So I just did a blue bag and then I did a pink bag. No crazy coloring, nothing special. The little treats, I believe, are pretty much the same browns that I used for the little puppy. This set has the most adorable pet themed pattern paper in it. I went ahead and just went to my die set stash and found a die set that I thought would coordinate really well with this particular design. So I've got a piece of pattern paper cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I've just decorated it with other pieces of the pattern paper. I'm going to adhere that to a piece of cardstock that is cut to the usual A2 size, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. I have my sentiments stamped out on a piece of white cardstock, and then I trimmed it out with a coordinating piece of a darker pink cardstock. I'm going to figure out exactly where I want that to be at the bottom of my card, making sure that I have Meadow enough room for her on that little oval piece. So I'll get that lined up. I'm going to put some little glue dots on the back, and I always add a little bit of liquid glue to my glue dots after I peel off that protective tape, just because it helps me, it gives me just a little bit of wiggle room to get that lined up exactly where I want it before it becomes permanently stuck to the card. Next, I'm going to pop up Meadow and her little puppy with the dog treat sack. I am using a 1mm foam tape. I personally prefer 1mm for my dimensional stuff. It's just that it's very hard to find sometimes the tape. And then the dots that I buy just come in small and large, and I usually run out of the large before I run out of the small ones. So I kind of struggle with that. But I think the 1mm just gives enough of dimension on my card without being too bulky or too puffy, which would make it hard to send in the mail. Anyway, I'm going to get those strips put on the back of Meadow, and then I am going to use the liquid glue again to just add to the back of the tape after the protective tape is off, and that just gives me a little bit of time to get it lined up exactly where I want her before she becomes permanently stuck to my card. Once I had Meadow and her little puppy and treat bag adhered to the card, I just felt like it wasn't very balanced, even with the sentiment being down on the bottom right-hand side. So I decided I would go ahead and use the little kitty, which I was going to save for another project, but that's okay. I can always color another one. And I'm going to pop that up also on the 1mm foam dots and just adhere that right above that sentiment. I had tossed around using her little treats along with her, and I just felt like that was too much and it was going to clutter up that corner. Now I like a little bit of glitter and a little bit of bling on my cards, so I'm going to go ahead and take some watermelon colored sparkle spots, and I'm just going to put some in that top corner and just add just a little bit to my card. Sometimes I get carried away with the bling, but we're going to try to restrain ourselves on this card. And that pretty much does it for this card. All I have left to do is attach it to a card base. I don't think I'll put a sentiment on this in the center. I think it would just be a perfect blank note card. Okay, just to recap the Crafty Crew Kit. This kit is available for pre-order until the 22nd of February. Shipping date is scheduled to be March 5th. For non-subscribers, the cost is going to be $54.99, and that does include shipping, and that is with a 15% off discount of retail prices. For subscribers, which is a bi-monthly subscription, there's a 35% discount off of retail prices. Your shipping is included. You also get a 10% discount for non-subscription orders, and that is $45.99. Another benefit to subscribers is you do get a special embellishment that's included in your kit. This month it was the little grow green paw print ribbon. It came in white and black and one in black and white, and it is adorable also. Okay, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I hope you have an amazing one. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.